Ro Khanna, Democrat of California. Congressman Ro Khanna, who launched the show, by the way, so it's good to see you back on. What do you hope to get out of these meetings? What will be sort of the focus? What do you want to hear from a Tim Cook?
Well, as a representative of Silicon Valley who helped facilitate some of these meetings, I want to hear three things. One, how are we going to get our manufacturing back into the United States, given the risks of it being in China? Two, how are we going to stay the technology leader of the world? And three, where are we most vulnerable on AI, on software, on quantum, on drones to China? Are we leading or are we falling behind?
One of the big pushes of this presidential administration in spending money is to bring manufacturing, the CHIPS Act, whatever, bring in manufacturing to the United States or further in the United States. Apple's products, as you know, are designed in California. Their wording on the back. Will you ask Tim Cook straight up, hey, what's preventing you from making iPhones here in California?
I was the co-author of the Chips and Science Act, and I'm very proud that we're going to be finally bringing semiconductor manufacturing here. 75% of the advanced chips are being manufactured in Taiwan. It was a colossal mistake to let that go. Yes, we should ask and will ask. I've asked Tim Cook before, how can we bring back manufacturing? He will tell you that we've got to bring back other supply chains. We've got to bring back the display. We've got to bring back the microelectronics. A lot of that was invented by DARPA in the United States, but for decades we just allowed that production to leave. So if we want to bring the iPhone back, we've got to bring back the component part manufacturing.
Are you going to bring up with Bob Iger his fight with Ron DeSantis in Florida?
I think we have more important things to discuss, which is how are we going to lead the 21st century? I mean, DeSantis is not going to win the primary. He's sort of yesterday's news. What I want to hear with Bob Iger is how can we make sure that America is lowering the trade deficit with China, increasing our exports, our soft culture around the world, but not making any of our intellectual property vulnerable to China.
How do we wean ourselves off of low-cost Chinese manufacturing and make sure we do it in a way that respects human rights? And I mentioned the solar industry, hugely important to your state because, you know, you guys have a lot of sun, unlike some states. I'd like to throw some solar panels up on my house, Congressman, but I want to make damn sure they're not made by forced labor in some prison camp, you know, with Uyghurs who are basically imprisoned there. How do we make sure those two goals occur?
Well, thank you for saying that. First, we need to enforce the Uyghur Protection Act that we passed in the House and sanction any Chinese officials involved in those forced labor conditions. Second, we need to make sure that we have strategic tariffs on solar panels that are being dumped into the United States, especially if they're coming from forced labor or if they're coming in from Chinese subsidies. And third, we need our government to be financing, in partnership with the private sector, manufacturing here. That's how we built America with Hamilton and FDR. We need a government partnership with the private sector to build jobs. And Senator Rubio and I have actually called for a National Development Council to do that. I think it can be bipartisan.
Well, you referenced Hamilton, so after these meetings, you will be in the room where it happened. So please come back and let us know what happened.